My name is Paul Matthews, and I am a mentor at Merrick. I've served as a mentor for Merrick for around 7 years. And prior to joining Merrick, I was the chief executive of the UK and European business of a company called Standard Life, FTSE 100 company. I also served on their executive main board. And for 6 years, I also served as a non-executive director of a company called Quilter, who were a FTSE 250 business. Thank you for joining me. Today, I want to talk about how you manage and influence key stakeholders. It's a really important subject that I talk about with executives and chief executives that I mentor every week. It's so important because we're in the people management business. And when we are managing and leading people, how we help them to do their roles and to be the best that they can be is an important role. And through what we say and through what we do will impact heavily on how they feel. And how they feel will have a direct impact on what they go on to say and do. Now, I want to start with a quick story, and then I'm going to share with you some of the approaches that I have used for many years now when I was an executive, but also some of the things that I discuss with clients when I talk to them every week. So let me tell you a quick story, which I hope gives a good example of how influencing the way people think can have a massive bearing on potential outcomes. A client of mine rang me about 6 months ago, and he asked if he could see me. When I walked into his offices, he looked distressed. He sounded stressed. So in the words I use, what I saw was a distressed person, what I heard was a distressed person. And how I felt was I felt concerned for him. So I asked the first question, how can I help? And he said, I need to talk to you about something that's happened yesterday. Our largest client has just pulled a multi-billion pound contract. They can no longer go ahead with it. They don't have the funding. And we had staffed up, tooled up. We'd invested millions on this contract when we'd already announced it to our key shareholders. I flippantly said, is that good news or bad news? And he looked at me with a strange look on his face. And he said, what? I said, is it good news or bad news? He said, it's clearly bad news. The impact of this is enormous. We might have to make a profit warning, and this could impact thousands of jobs. So I said, well, the first question then is, I am assuming you have done everything you can do to salvage this particular contract. He said, yeah, I have. It's dead in the water. So the next question I asked was, what is your next course of action? And he said, well, I'll need to talk to the chairman, to the board. I'll need to communicate with the team. And then we'll have to work out the ramifications of that, which could lead to thousands of job losses. So I said to him again, I'm going to ask you the same question, and I'll just think about it for a little bit longer. Is it good news or bad news? And he quickly said, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I said to him, well, look, the question is, before you communicate that information, just take some time to think, how will people feel when you communicate this? What are you going to say to them? What will they hear and what will they see from you, and how will that make them feel? And he said, well, I don't know there's a way of sugarcoating this. I said, I'm not asking for that, but I'm just asking you to take more time, because people look to you. You are going to influence how they feel, and you will have a direct influence on what they do next. So this is really important. So let's just look a bit more at this contract, because if people see some inspiration from you and they see some signs, they hear some things that give them hope, then they will have hope. If they see no signs of hope, then that will impact them. And my guess would be that's not going to impact in a way that you would like it. So I said to him, the next question is then, was this a very profitable contract? No, he says, it's not massive profit, but it's really huge on revenue. So I said, okay, so let's just go through this quickly. You are staffed up, tooled up, trained up, resourced up, you're ready to go. Yeah, he said, I mean, this contract wouldn't have come in place for another year, but yeah, we're basically ready to go. So I said, we don't make much money out of the contract. No, we don't. So I said, so the question then is for me, who is looking for what you can offer quickly and who would be prepared to pay a premium for that? And he said, well, there's nobody with the scale and size out there that could fulfill this order as we've lost. So I said, no, there might not be one single one, but there might be a group of people. There might be quite a few companies that actually would really, really benefit from what you're about to offer them. And if you're about to offer them something that they could get delivered quicker, then my guess is they might pay a premium for that. Anyway, I said to him, have a think about it. I could see already a weight lift off his shoulders. I could see physically he just looked better. And then when we carried on talking a bit while, he actually sounded better. And actually I felt better for the fact that I just asked a few questions. So I said to him, well, have a think about it. Don't talk to the chair on the board yet. Talk to your team tomorrow, and then let's have a conversation and see where you are. And he wrote me the next day and he said, do you know what? I slept on that. And actually, I had a really good meeting with the team and they took it a lot better than I thought. And I said, well, that's fantastic. You've done a great job then. So I said, well, where are you then? He said, well, actually, we've come up with already a quick list of 10 people that might be able to actually benefit from what we could offer them. So I said, that's fantastic news. And well done to you to start with, because you've clearly turned that whole situation around. Now, I won't go into the whole story, but what I can tell you is 9 months later, the share price of this business, and it's a substantial business, has nearly trebled. So they have communicated to the market that they've lost a major contract, but they've equally communicated to the market that there are ways that they are going to actually benefit from this. So managing stakeholders, influencing stakeholders is absolutely critical in this example. So this particular company has managed the shareholder side of it. They've managed the board side of it. They've influenced them to be actually pretty relaxed, and actually people are buying their shares as opposed to selling them. Their team have re-looked at what they're doing, and through the conversations he had, he has influenced how they felt. The initial conversation could have been one of quite a negative influence on them, but instead it became a very positive influence in that, okay, it's happened. Our job now as leaders of this business is to turn this around. We can turn this around by actually identifying targets, and we've got proactive, positive things to think about. Now, I use this example because every day in the jobs that you have, you will face at times situations that you do not control. And I'm going to put a slide up which shows a circle and it shows a line down the middle. On the one side is you, and you control all of that half. You control what you think, you control what you say, you control what you do, and you control how you feel. That's your side. On the other side could be your boss, it could be individuals within your team, it could be your team. It could be your peers, the people, the executives you work with. It could be the chairman of the board, it could be the senior independent of the board, it could be key customers, key clients. But for each of those people who are key stakeholders in your life, I would encourage you to draw a circle, and I would draw a line down the middle, and I would say to you, you control your half, they control their half. Now, what you say and what you do will have a direct impact on how they feel. My example about the contract, through what he said and through what he did, the team actually had some confidence and they were inspired to go out and get stuff done. Through what this guy said to the key stakeholders, the investors, they could have said, blimey, you've just lost a big contract. That could have been a massive impact on their share price. But what they were influenced by was actually it may be less volume coming in over the next 12, 18 months, but actually we believe that it's going to be more profitable for this company. And actually, as a result of that, people bought more shares. They didn't sell them. So what I'm trying to get across here is that you control your half, You can influence the other half of that circle, but you don't control it. You didn't control COVID. You don't control market collapses on the same basis, but you do control how you respond to it. And as a leader, we have responsibilities to really reflect and see what we can say and what we can do that can influence the best possible conclusion and solution. And I deal with clients. At times they say to me, look, I'm just not getting on with my boss, or I don't feel the board are fully behind the plan, the target, the business plan, or I'm stressed over one of my peers is causing me all these issues, or I'm worried about one of my key employees and my team, they're not working well, or they're clashing. And I say to them, yeah, but you control your half, they control their half. So the question is, if you're not happy, what do you want to see from them? What do you want to hear from them? And how do you want to feel about that? But equally, what are they seeing currently from you? What are they hearing from you? And how do they feel about you? And as opposed to what they currently see, what would they like to see? What would they like to hear? And how would they like to feel? And the same question to you, what are you currently seeing and hearing? And how do you currently feel? And what do you want to see, want to hear, and want to feel? And sometimes it might even be, this is what I do not want to see. This is what I do not want to hear. And this is what I do not want to feel. Now, the important thing as leaders is the clarity of communication. So there's a couple of things here. There is a responsibility as a leader. We take that responsibility on in that we are responsible for people. And we might have shareholders and various other things. But we have responsibility for our half. And the other half, we have a responsibility to understand as much as we can about that half. And if it's your team that report into you, you have a responsibility as a leader to understand what they're thinking, how they're feeling. And you have a responsibility to be really clear with them what you expect to see and what you expect to hear. Now, at times, we will all have had, I am sure, some issues here where we have said, I feel undervalued, or I don't feel that I'm being stretched sufficiently, or I might feel I'm bored, or I might feel a series of different feelings in my body. Back to my point, you are responsible for how you feel. So the question then would be is, what would you need or want to see or hear that would enable you to feel differently about that? And are the people that you are interacting with that are causing those issues, are they clear? And if they're not clear, how can you best communicate with them to influence, again, we don't control them, to influence their behavior? So to give you some examples, I have had issues before where I've gone into let's say, a risk meeting. And at times, the chair of the risk committee might have said to me, we're very worried about these risks, Paul. And I would then say, okay, what particularly are you seeing or hearing about this risk that you're unhappy with? Now, I would take that as constructive information feedback. Some people, I've seen and heard them take that, oh, they're criticizing me. They don't trust me. And I'd say, well, that's how you see it. That's how you hear it. What I'm seeing and hearing is somebody is giving me direct feedback that they don't like what they see, or they don't like what they hear, or they are not hearing or seeing the stuff they need to see and hear. And what I encourage managers is to start using consistent but simple language. And then I say to people, okay, I will check them with the chair of the risk committee, or it might be the chair of the audit committee, or the chair of the board. I'll then say to them, are you seeing what you want to see, and are you hearing what you want to hear? And if not, what is that? What would you like to see and hear more of, or see and hear less of? Sometimes the chair's been quite clear with me, the board are getting 450 pages, and they don't want to see and read that. You need to cut that down to 200. But at least I know where we are. I can say to my team, the board is seeing too much paper. and they want to see less paper, less words, and better executive summaries. Now, again, the chair is using his influence to influence me. I need to now influence my team. It's not about taking criticism. It's about taking constructive feedback. And it's the same then when I deal with executives. They say to me, I've got a problem with somebody in my team. And I say, okay, what is the problem? Help me to understand what you are seeing and what you are hearing and how that makes you feel. And then can you articulate to me what it is you want to see and hear differently that would enable you to feel comfortable and really pleased with their outputs? And then I say to them, the question you need to ask yourself now is the person you have the performance issue with, are they clear of what you expect to see and what you expect to hear? And often they're not. They're often not. There is this assumption at times by leaders, and I've done it myself. I say to myself, well, they must know what I want. And as a mentor, I would say, but how do you know? And so I would encourage you as executives to ask yourself more often, how do I know? How do I know if my chairman is happy with me or unhappy with me? Am I clear what he really wants to see or what she wants to see and hear? And if I'm not, I'll ask them that. And if they give me feedback, I take that all positively, all constructively. The question that I have to ask myself is, I need to influence my team to step up sometimes. So I need to be clear with them what I expect to see from them and what I expect to hear from them. And I would often get them to say, can you repeat what I am expected to see and hear from you? So influencing, you control, because you control what you say and what you do. If somebody is not happy about something, so somebody wants more detail in the risk committee, somebody wants to see more positive feedback, someone wants the numbers to improve, then the question you have to ask yourself is, if that's what they want to see and they don't see it, how are they going to feel? And my guess would be is they're going to feel disappointed and they're going to feel not happy. Because if they've asked you directly to provide something, then you have to work out what you do. You do not control what they say. You do not control what they do. You do not control what they feel. You control what you do, what you say, and you also control how you feel. And I'm encouraging you to continue to take as much feedback, seek as much feedback, in order that you can take better actions to influence them. Because if you're giving them what they want to see and you're giving them what they want to hear, then I guarantee to you then that they are going to feel in a very, very good space because they're getting what they want. If they're not getting what they want, i.e. they're not seeing and hearing what they want to see, or they're seeing and hearing stuff they do not want to, then I guarantee you they're not going to feel great. And if you want to influence somebody and to manage a stakeholder, then the quicker you get to that situation, the quicker you're in a position to influence. The example I gave at the start with my guy, at times we don't know what's going to hit us. COVID came, we didn't know, but teams responded and they responded really well. Sometimes we didn't know what we were looking for and we didn't know what we were listening for. But if we describe it to the team and we give the team hope, inspiration, and confidence, and also a level of expectancy, we can do this. And using the language I'm encouraging you to use, what we're going to see, what we're going to hear, and how will that make us feel? And how will it make the customers feel? How will it make the board feel? How will it make the group chief executive feel? How do we make our peers feel actually well regarded, well respected, and actually very much part of our team? We can do that. We can do that. We can influence that if they see the stuff they want to see and they hear the stuff they want to hear. So I'm going to leave you with that. There's a couple of diagrams of the circles, we can provide that information for you. And there's lots of other tools that we can provide that can help you go through that process. But the process starts with you. The accountability and responsibility, taking more time to think about things. My issue with I've received this information as a leader. What do I do with that information? How is it making me feel? And if I communicate that to other people through saying something or doing something, what are they going to pick up? If they pick up that I see no chance, no hope, then what does that do for their chances of helping us? If they see animation from me, if they see expectancy from me, if they see that I'm actually already thinking, this is not good news, but actually out of this not good news, there might be some really, really exciting opportunities for us, because we can't change that half of the apple, that half of the circle. But what we can change is the way we respond to that. So good luck with this. Try it out. Try it out with your team. Try it with the board, your peers. Get those circles drawn and write down for yourself to start with, what am I seeing and hearing, and how do I feel about those people? And what do I think they are currently seeing and hearing, and how I think they might feel about me? And then what would I like them to see and hear about from me and my team, and how would I like them to feel? And cross-check, is there any gaps there you could feel? And then the last question yourself is, going forward, what do I want to see from all these people? What do I want to hear from all these people? And how do I want to feel about these people? And it is through what you feel and what you want to feel and how you make people feel that will have a massive impact on what you say and do, on what they say and do. Try it. Good luck. And if we can help, Merrick can help in any way, just let us know. Good luck.